Support for Capt and Zeen modules is a new feature of the DCS interface in Helios 1.6. So here we are in Profile Editor. We have an empty profile again. Going to add a DCS A10 interface. Now, in previous releases of Helios, the export scripts generated by Helios and managed by Helios were not actually compatible with the export script and modules provided by Capt and Zeen. So a lot of people would download the profiles and then they don't work with the other profiles that use the Helios modules, Helios built-in exports, and it was a big mess. So in 1.6, the export scripts have been totally re-engineered, and the DCS interface has been re-engineered to be compatible with the modules by Capt and Zeen, as well as the built-in export scripts that Helios can generate, which are called drivers, to differentiate them from modules. In the future, we'll have support for other module formats, but in this version, the only two formats supported are the built-in driver and the Capt and Zeen module file. So here we have a DCS A10 interface, which if we look here in the profile specific settings advanced section, says, okay, this is using a driver generated by this interface. Now, all that means is that Helios is going to write the export file, and it will have all the stuff for an A10 in it, and it'll be called an A10, and it will be used for the A10. It's just the normal default case. If we look at the details in the interface status, we can actually see that that means it will have an export Lua script, which calls this main Helios export 16 Lua script, which calls a driver called drivers/A10. And all those files already exist and are already up to date because I've already configured it once. So what is new is that you can also change this module format to Capt and Zeen module format. So what this means is if you had the A10 profile from Capt and Zeen and you wanted to use the included A10C module, you could set this up like this. You would say, okay, this profile is going to use a Capt and Zeen module. It's going to be for the A10. And you'll see here, right now, our status is you have to manually check that the export module was correctly placed in the right place because Helios can't install it for us. To fix that part, what you do is you configure this third item, which is the module file. And you just go and navigate and find the Helios A10C module file that was provided by Capt and Zeen or downloaded with this modules pack. And you actually embed it into the profile itself. So now the file is inside the profile. You can, when you save it, it will be embedded in the profile. And so when you send this profile to somebody, or when Capt and Zeen sends a profile to you that has been upgraded for 1.6, it will have the module inside it, and you won't have to worry about where to put it or copying files or it being incompatible or anything like that. So now our new status is that we have a module. It's a Capt and Zeen module, and it has been placed for us already. The reason the status is already green is because I mistakenly hit setup earlier, and it's already in place. Now, a more interesting case is some profiles use an interface that was developed for another airplane, and use a lot of scripting in the export module to work around limitations in other Helios interfaces. So the most, I think, prominent example of that would be the F-18 profile by Capt and Zeen. Thinks it's an A10 as far as Helios is concerned, but in reality is actually mapping all of the F-18 stuff to A10 stuff, and that's always led to a lot of confusion, and you couldn't actually configure Helios to understand this before. You can now. So the way that would be configured is same thing as this. It's an A10 interface, except we're going to tell Helios that it's actually an F-18 so that it knows how to treat it, and the module file will be the file for the F-18, which I don't have here in this correct folder. I'll have to navigate for it, but let's pretend I said F16. So this would obviously be a nonsense configuration, but you would select the F18 module file. I'm kidding, I think we should definitely configure the right file. So those things I believe I have in my quick access. So you would grab from the appropriate Helios profile, you would get the scripts, Helios, mods, and you would grab the F18 module source. And it doesn't match the one I've installed, which is good because I was messing around with it before. So now when you set up, what it will do is it will write the Helios F18 Lua mod file, so the Capt and Zeen module, but we'll tell Helios that we're going to use that it uses the A10 interface, because it actually remaps everything to the A10 interface, and then in the profile maps it all back. And that in previous versions of Helios, you couldn't explain this part to Helios, and so new upcoming features such as knowing which airplane you're using wouldn't have worked. So that's what this is for. Because the export script has been updated to support both of these, when we run a profile like this, what will happen is the Helios Control Center will tell the export script through new protocol messages, hey, for this profile, you need to use the Capt and Zeen module. And then for this other profile, let's say you fly the, the Harrier Bluefin Beamer profile, it would actually use a Helios interface, right? So it would say this profile uses a driver, so switch back to the driver. And so that's how that works, so that users don't have to be concerned with this difference. The profiles can be configured to know what module format am I going to use, what airplane is it going to represent, and what Helios interface will actually be used. And that allows this interface status to tell you that everything is okay, and it also allows the pre-flight check feature we've just that I've shown in a previous video to make sure at startup time that everything is okay and it won't just silently fail.